Okay, so let me check my mic here. Today we are um, doing, we're starting a series of pieces for voice and piano, a listening series. Now I have 10 scores to go through in this one, but it's a little bit weird. The first 6 of them are all going to be by the same composer, and then the last 4 are by different composers. So it's yeah, it's a little bit of a weird list. The first piece, the first composer is the Daemon Songbook by Matthew Lee Knowles. This is a project from 2022. 14 songs by Chiva, and it's subtitled "Of the Religious Faith of Fish Story Gallery." Um, the way I discovered this piece was through one of the 14 songs called Big Hands, which I found on Matthew's SoundCloud, and I was pretty taken with it. So most of the scores of Matthews that downloaded, I downloaded those PDFs back in 2021. This one I sort of downloaded a little bit later, just kind of because it struck me. Um, and it's quite a big project. Here's Matthew and Lashiva, July 2022. I guess this arm tattoo is emblematic of this collaboration. And yeah, obviously I'm assuming the words and all the performances we'll be hearing singing wise are by Lashiva with Matthew Lee Knowles on piano. And this is a Bandcamp album. Let me just pull that up too. The cover design and tattoo design is by Eric Marcel Chuck Mr. Bubbles Time from an original drawing by Lashiva. And yeah, the sound engineering and post production by John Henry Baker. So this is very much like an album project, although I'm sure there are some live concerts associated with it, because I've seen some stuff on social media, video wise. And here are the songs: Dandelion Acid, Daemon Song, Partners Shove, Planning Phase, We Never Had a Ball, Big Hands, Masada, Masturbating Whilst Meditating. I actually think I've heard this one too on Matthew's YouTube channel, just because I saw the title and had to click. And then we got Ambivalent, Your Star, The Chosen, Birdsong, Claw It Back, and Fish Story. And I've never um, I've never read through the lyrics of any of these. I've never done a score study of this, and like I said, I've only listened to 2 of the 14 songs. So each song is prefaced with the lyrics and then a big title page and then the score with lyrics in it, obviously. And I think the piano part, for the most part, is like very accompanimental, it looks like. Similar to a lot of Matthew's piano pieces we looked at from this time period, 2021 to 2022. Kind of like improvised, pseudo improvised piano playing. I think rather than go through every song, I'm just gonna listen to it and then I'll try to talk about 2 or 3 songs that I thought really stuck out for me as particularly moving or interesting. Okay, so they have formally formed a group, a duo that goes by the name The Agony and the Ecstasy of Dandelion Acid. So this is Lashiva and Matthew. And they did a live performance in 2025. So I guess this is kind of a pandemic project. It's kind of like skirts the end of the pandemic, 2021, and since then it's actually like been performed. So maybe I will link if I can find a full concert of this, I might link that in the video description, rather than a score video, because I think this stuff has to be seen. Uh, Although I will probably just have my face buried in the score today. Um, yeah, link to that is in the video description. Uh, and I am happy to kind of promote this project. I think it's still alive and well. Okay, just a bit of a disclaimer here. The recording today is in two parts, each with about 9 tracks. So this version or this concert has 4 more tracks than the score that I'm looking at, which was published in 2022. So either the project has expanded or or the song cycle itself has expanded. So I encourage you to listen to the whole thing. I'm going to be skipping around track by track to match with the score I'm reading. And I also wanted to read this little biography of Chiva, which was posted in conjunction with this performance. So they are a performance and visual artist, writer, and social worker with degrees in art history, social work, experimental performance, and psychosocial studies. They have degrees from NYU, CUNY, Central St. Martin's, and Birkbeck College. And the end of this bio plugs their solo album with uh, Buzzcocks guitarist Manny Perizzoli. The album's called Desire the Rhinoceros from 2025. I guess it was not released at the time of this performance, but is probably released now, so something else to check out if you're a real fan of their performance today. And I won't keep you any longer. It's time to get into this one. Okay, so yeah, this is a really special like yeah, really special concert. I think it's great that it's sort of archived online like this. Um, it's very long. Uh, I think I only listened to 14 of the tracks, but it's some of these songs run over 10 minutes long. So it's like around 2 hours, maybe like 90 minutes if you don't listen to every track like I did. Um, and Yeah, it's very long for a song cycle, but I kind of liked the longer songs because it felt like you were really in a relationship, you know. These weren't really songs about unrequited love. They were lots of songs about like being deep into a relationship that is not going well and, this sunk cost fallacy kind of thing. Um, which is very time consuming and like as many people probably can attest. Um, So yeah, I really liked the mix of short and long songs. I still think Big Hands is kind of a real highlight for me. That was a real standout one. In this performance, they decided to have a violin part as well, which added something. Made it seem very climactic in the scope of the whole thing. Um, and I guess just looking at the tracks here, I really did like the opener Dandelion Acid, and I liked We Never Had a Ball, especially going into Big Hands. I liked that contrast, and they changed up the order a little bit. Like they did Claude back in the first half, and they opened the second half with Bird Song. I guess they didn't want to open with Masturbating Whilst Meditating, but that was a pretty positive one actually. It's kind of more like self-depreciating humor kind of one. Um, what I really liked about Lashiva's lyrics was there were these moments where you had lines delivered, like the language was very simple and the ideas were very simple, but also very powerful. I wrote down some that struck me. Um, like in Dandelion Acid, there's a line, and curiously I dangled by a thread that never ended. It's just like a really simple image, um, that makes you feel very helpless and um, in the context of all this other absurdist stuff, like the idea of the dandelion acid, it's just that much more striking having this like grounded line in the middle of the song. Um, and yeah, I really like the lyrics and We Never Had a Ball, like just painting this childhood memory and this like really simple line, like it was fun and it felt so good. Like that's such a yeah, it's such a clear sentiment. Um, I liked in Big Hands, I forgot there was those lines like describing the lovers like uh nails and like the grooves in their nails. I thought that was really like visceral and strangely relatable, like just the differences in another person's body and how like wondrous and strange those details are um and yeah, just like there was this other line, I can't remember which one it was in. I think it was in the first half, but yeah, I was in Masada just saying outright in the middle of the song, maybe hate's the only love I'll ever know. That's like a very, very dark thing to say, but I think lots of people, myself included, have thought that at some point in a toxic relationship or a bad relationship, and yeah, so those were the highlights for me lyrically, um, of a lot of these songs, and it definitely made me think about, like, I really struggle with writing lyrics or libretto. It really made me think about, like, okay, what do I actually want to say? And like this character, I think, speaks very directly because that's just the type of person they are, and nothing feels pretentious, nothing feels overly explained. It's all very like just uh, direct. So um, yeah, I thought this was a really interesting project. Kind of skirts the line between like um, classical music, like art song, and musical theater, or like pop song. So uh, I think any composers interested in doing that should definitely give this a listen and take note of like Matthew's approach to setting a lot of these songs and keeping it simple and putting the melody forward all the time, playing around with repetition too. Lots of interesting uses of like this obsessive repeating of things, and um I would encourage people to look at this score with this performance because there was a lot of changes in performance that were made and that didn't correspond with the score, which kind of reveal what's really important and rather than what's just a detail in the music. So tomorrow we're going to look at another song cycle of Matthews, I think. Um, so yeah, lots of like text to explore and stuff like that. Okay, so today's piece is Invisible Heart by Matthew Lee Knowles. This is a piece for voice and piano, I'm assuming soprano and piano. Um, and it was written in 2021. It's a large scale song, so it's a 27-minute single song, like on a single text, which kind of calls to mind that Sati piece, Socrates or Socrata. I can't uh, remember if that is an actual monodrama. I think it's more just a song, but like a very long one. So that's kind of what this is. The lyrics were written by extracting sentences from the top of pages in John Boyne's novel, The Heart's Invisible Furies, then adapting, reordering them in May/June, then writing the music in July. So, somewhat random what lines are picked because it's just at the top of the pages. What is this novel, first of all? Okay, a social novel by Irish novelist John Boyne, published in 2017. So, 5 years before this piece was written, or maybe 4 years. Revolving around the life of Cyril, who struggles with his sexuality, taking on a broad range of prejudice and intolerance in the in Ireland of the past 70 years. So, it's a pretty big plot synopsis here. It seems to be a novel that spans a long time. In 2025, this is like much more recent than this song. The Lukashenko regime added the book to the list of publications containing harmful materials or materials that could harm the national interests of Belarus. So it is a banned novel. It's just simply because it's about a gay character. I guess we'll learn a lot more about it getting these little excerpts of the novel. And if we look at the score, it's 51 pages of music. The lyrics are in blue. Performed by Sarah Parkin and Dominic Irving, and recorded at Heath Street Baptist Church. Audio engineer John Henry Baker. The first stanza reads, "Long before my neighbor's moment across this place, with it between his fingers, he stood up no matter how invaluable, for 2 pence in a couple of hours to show me something, what to know, what I do." And then the last two lines, "One hand touched my arm, everyone can get married when I'm gone." So I think it is just literally like every line is just taken from the top of a page of the novel, and then it's somehow organized into stanzas. Sometimes something's repeated, like here the line, "We were doing life," is repeated 12 times. I guess, the score did mention that they were rearranged, so it's not even in chronological order. That could be how it ended up being grouped into stanzas, is like there's this creative act of collaging them anyways. I'll just put a link to this Bandcamp in the video description so you have the lyrics in front of you, and to like slightly increase the chance that you contribute to this project. Yeah, I want to get through this in the next hour, so yeah. Okay, yeah, so this was a really interesting experience. The ending was surprisingly powerful, and it's really high energy all the way through. It just really goes, yeah, one thing to another for 855 measures. And yeah, it's just very full of life. I'm finding it hard to match as a listener the energy, but yeah, it was really fascinating. Just it's kind of quirky the way that Matthew went about assembling this text and also setting it. There's like a lot of intentionally like incorrect text setting and correct text setting. This last phrase is a great example. It like is just this repeating pattern that's very easy to follow musically, but the text like shifts. Sometimes it's the strong beats line up correctly, sometimes they don't. There's also like this second voice that comes in from time to time, usually just harmonizing in sixths. Yeah, I like that. Like, I have a familiarity with Matthew's piano music from a lot from this time, 2021, and I think this piece has a lot in common with that piano music. I'm not solo piano stuff. I'm not sure what inspired what, but it's interesting to see a text that like works so well with this style of piano writing. It's like the two are really inseparable. Um, so yeah, those are the observations I'm going to end on. Tomorrow we're going to look at another song cycle by Matthew. I think it's called "This Is a Warning and a Threat," and it's a bit of a longer one. I think that's definitely more than an hour of music. Okay, so today's piece is a song cycle by Matthew Lee Knowles. It's called This Is a Warning and a Threat. I guess it's kind of like a song cycle. It's from 2021, April of 2021. And there are 30 songs in this one. Uh, okay, yeah, so they are Limit, Warning, Answer, Waves, He, Windshield, Club, Cave, Appointment, Spirit, Roll, Obsessed, Spacewalk, Boy, Submit, Demons, Foggy, Becoming, Permission, Star, Tower, Thriller, Bone, Antichrist, Walrus, Remain, Wallow, Clouds, Threads, Anxiety. Lyrics and music by Matthew Lee Knowles, cover art by Gary Fisher. So yeah, this one, the lyrics are in red and they're all by Matthew. I think looking at this the other day, some of these are 5 minutes long, some are just a minute or less, but it will take a considerable amount of time to listen to it all. We looked at another piece of his called Invisible Heart yesterday, which was a 30-minute song. That piece was performed by the same two people as this one, and both of them are Bandcamp albums available through his Bandcamp. The soprano again is Sarah Parkin, and the pianist Dominic Irving. I think it's the same venue as well where it was recorded. So, yeah, don't know what to expect from this one. I think it's best to just jump into it. I doubt there's a lot more info on it, really. This is the third, like, voice and piano piece of Matthew's we've looked at, but the first with his own text. Uh, so that'll be one of the more interesting differences here, I think. This is truly like composed, we don't know if the text was composed first or if the music was, and they're composed to be together in one thing, kind of. Yeah. Anyways, link to this album is in the video description, and I encourage you to listen along. Try to listen to the whole album. I mean, I always do. So, uh, yeah, I'm just gonna give my thoughts. If you're curious for that, just stick through this brief transition here. Okay. So I listened to the first 10 of them. I'm realizing that I'm not really well rested enough to enjoy this whole thing in one go. So I think I'm gonna listen to the other 20 tracks later. But yeah, so far it's been really interesting. It has this really infectious energy and lots of contrast, and the text is pretty uh, psychedelic, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word. It's just like a lot of different things one after another. Like this endless stream of different things. What I really liked about this ninth movement appointment was there was a line that was like, I made a mistake trying to write a song, but I can barely hold a thought. and that really uh, made everything kind of click for me. It kind of lent itself well to the rest of the text in the previous movements. It's kind of fun trying to figure out why the each movement is titled the way it's titled. Like the title is there in the text, but you're not sure if it's going to be at the end or if it's the like there was one movement called he where it was the first word, and then another one it was the last towards the end you hear it. Um, Obviously warning is sort of like the title track where you get the phrase "this is a warning and a threat." That one's really a really good like uh, representative work of what I've heard so far. It's pretty catchy and it's kind of like a rondo form thing with lots of repetition. Um, Another highlight for me was like I really did like Appointment, and I also liked this miniature cave. I thought that was a really interesting one. Yeah, it's there's something very unique and original about these songs that I think is very attractive. So I do want to pay better attention to the next two-thirds of it. Although I think in practice you would probably sing excerpts of this, maybe seven of them or something on a concert. I don't know if I guess you could do a concert singing all 30, but it's a lot. Um, so anyways, yeah, I finished at Spirit here. The next chunk would be from Roll to Star, and then from Tower to Anxiety. Okay, so I listened to the other 20 tracks, the other 20 songs in this songbook, and got off to a really big start with Roll followed by Abscessed. Those two were really good. Abscessed is the kind of centerpiece of the set, I would say. It's like 8 minutes long, and it's just like a huge, like monumental, just like word salad, uh, stream of consciousness thing. Roll was also just very poignant. It had like all the text was like kind of about paranoia. And yeah, I thought that one was one interesting line after another. Um, what I noticed with a lot of these later songs was that there's some more piano solo moments. There's also more like minimalist ones that are just a very simple piano accompaniment. I think the simplest one is Tower, which is just a low D in the piano. And we also get some more minimalist texts. So Remain, for example, is just the lyrics are just Remain calm. And then the one called Antichrist, the lyrics are just Antichrist over and over again, and then Chaos Reigns, which I found really funny. Because the music isn't very devilish or diabolical sounding. It's just like so that one was really funny. Remain Calm was very beautiful, and I liked Star too. I thought that one was really interesting because I don't think the word star appears in that text, but all the text is kind of about suns um and like star-like things. It was like kind of a miniature one. On a little bit more on Sarah's performance. It was fun following along on the score because there are like there's not a lot of performance directions, but there is the occasional direction that is like sing exceptionally beautifully or like sing angelically here in this section, and she does it. Like she really does. And it was interesting seeing the way that that impacted her approach to singing. And I think it especially in this one, what was it called again? Abscessed. Um, I think it's very impressive how she's able to enunciate all the text and stay in rhythm. And more than anything, I think this set of songs is very challenging text-wise. You gotta like it's all in English, which I know a lot of singers hate, and like colloquial English, and you have to like pronounce everything. I'm sure the number of different words in this book of songs is like very significant. You have to sing everything from, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog to what was one line like seals running through or walruses running through a minefield, or throwing a grenade at a mime during their performance. You know, just like things that need to be enunciated really well, otherwise the audience is not going to understand what the hell they're hearing. Um, so yeah, it's cool. Not what I expected, but the most kind of Matthew thing I think we've looked at on the channel. Um, and that's saying something because we've looked at about 50 of his pieces. Um, and yeah, that's it for This Is a Warning and a Threat. Uh, yeah, 30 songs. Okay, so today I'm looking at a piece by Matthew Lee Knowles from 2014 called Little Freddy Phelps, a song to celebrate the passing of an idiot. And Fred Phelps, of course, is the leader of the hate group, the Westboro Baptist Church, who died in 2014, same year that this piece was composed. Um, yeah, famously anti-LGBT uh, hate group in the U.S. that I kind of forgot about. This score is reminding me of like the pre-Trump presidency, first Trump presidency times, where things are actually pretty fucked up in the U.S. Already. So I don't know if I should read through all the lyrics because I don't want to spoil the experience, but basically Matthew lists a bunch of Freddys, both starting with Freddy Phelps, of course, both fictional and real, who were murderers and rapists. And then the second half of the song is just listing a bunch of things we should do with Freddy Phelps's corpse to degrade him and remember him as a piece of shit, basically. So, yeah, that's the text. Obviously, Matthew wrote it himself. There's this little blurb here. Freddy Phelps, a man who even in death isn't dead enough for the composer's liking. This score is notated as just one possibility. With basic harmonic outlines, different interpretations are encouraged. I think the performance of this one is Matthew himself. Let me see. Yes, so Matthew singing this one, performed at the Coma Summer School 2014 by Michael Finnessy. What is that? Contemporary Music for All. Okay. Coma Summer School is a place for musicians of all abilities to come together for 5 full days of fun and exciting music making, filled with experimentation, workshops, performances, and joyful music making. The summer school is open to instrumentalists, singers, and composers, all aged 18 plus. Michael Finnessy, of course, is a New Complexity composer based in the UK. I'm assuming this is where he and um, Matthew met. I know they've collaborated on a few other things. Oh, and in this recording, it looks like Finnessy's playing piano. So, interesting duo here. Link in the video description. I encourage you to listen to this one, and I'll let you know my thoughts about the performance. Yeah, so I liked it. um, yeah, not much else to say. I like the the text, the way it really paints this this emotion and anger, and I like the opening measures and closing measures. I think Finney does a really good job of conveying the anger and passion that the piece needs. And I really like these two performing as a duo. I think it's really heartwarming, and there's some real like camaraderie here. So um yeah, I encourage more people to play this thing. It's a nice little protest piece, and like yeah, I think lots of any like LGBT concert I think needs music like this that's more like protesting, no reason for everything to be all like happy or even melancholic. Sometimes you just need like actual protest music. So yeah, that's that. uh can't remember, there's two other pieces of Matthews we're gonna look at, both from 2008. So that's up next. And yeah, that was Little Freddy Phelps. Okay, so today's piece is the story of a magnificent banquet for speaker and piano, so technically voice and piano. Matthew Lee Knowles wrote this piece in 2008, and the first page is a series of 5 chords in the key of 5 flats. Start playing before the speaker begins their part and continue freely when they finish their part. So this is on repeat. And then the remainder of the score, I believe, is just this wall of text, right? Which the speaker has to speak. I'm assuming this is an original text by Matthew. There's a lot of repetition in it, and it's split up into 4 sections. Dedicated with sincerity to Neil Luck and Joshua Kay. Revised in 2011. I think we may have looked at some of these people before. Neil Luck is a UK musician, probably a colleague of Matthew's. Founder of the music theatre ensemble Arco and co-founder of Squibbox, performing with Jennifer Walsh in the duo Whack. And then Joshua Kay. Also a London-based composer whose work centers on the voice and stage. And yeah, that's about all we need to know about that. I think the recording is on SoundCloud. It looks like there's also YouTube. Um, I guess maybe Neil and Josh performed this. Activated by and making up 1/3 of the group, Matthew Lee Knowles summoned Neil Luck and Josh Kay to fill in the remaining thirds of this project at the beginning of 2009 with an intention of performing spoken word material that is indistinguishable from and containing all the nuances of music, simultaneously familiar and alien, thousands of words excreted in patterns and games, with particular focus on hurried recitation, where the eye, mind, mouth go their separate ways. Performed by the group. I guess this group is called KLK. Uh, all 3 of them on voice. Not sure if there's a piano in this recording. Probably. Because there's a comment here that says my favorite chords. Well, let's have a listen here. Link to this is in the video description. It runs about 8 minutes, so it's not a small piece. I guess the only thing to do is to read along with this text and the score here. So, yeah. Okay, so this ended up being much more explicit than I expected. It was a lot of just violent, abhorrent things, very matter-of-factly stated, and it just kept getting worse and worse. I'm wondering, because they mentioned a bunch of libertines towards the beginning, uh, maybe it's inspired by Sallow, by Pasolini, or something, or maybe some other sort of explicit film. But yeah, it's very bizarre, like the rapid fire, just like explicit actions one after another. I was looking into it, and this is also on a Bandcamp album, or it is a Bandcamp album by KLK, which is released under Squibbox. So there's a bunch of other, I'm assuming, spoken word pieces on here. This is the longest one. Some of them are as short as 19 or 20 seconds. Um, and yeah, just looking into this, Squibbox is an artist collective and uh, Netabel or Net Label, sorry, dedicated to the production and dissemination of radical and avant-garde music. So this is the only KLK release on here, I think, but there's a couple other things by Neil Luck, like this performance of Ursinate, this other album called Ground Techniques. Yeah, I guess a fairly interesting project. I wasn't expecting it to be so violent, but I mean, they're just words. They can't really harm anyone, so uh, yeah, that was the story of a magnificent banquet. Okay, so today's piece is called This is Fluxus by Matthew Lee Knowles from 2008. Immediately looking at this score, I'm getting some deja vu because this is looks like the first page of the score we looked at yesterday. So let me pull that up for comparison. Yesterday we looked at a piece by Matthew called The Story of a Magnificent Banquet. And yeah, it looks to be the same, yeah. So in both of these pieces, the pianist is playing through this cycle of 5 chords while pedaling and repeating that. It's exactly the same. This one we had like 8 pages of text, which was like this very graphic depiction of many of the acts in, I think, Sallow, 120 Days of Sodom by Pasolini. And then this one, it seems to be a different text, but it is also a wall of text here, just one page. And the last sentence is, "This is Fluxus," obviously referring to the Fluxus art movement of the 1960s and 70s. This one is So this one wasn't dedicated to anybody, but this one is dedicated to Elizabeth Rimington. I think Matthews definitely collaborated with this Elizabeth um, fairly early on in his career, maybe at the Guildhall School of Music. Uh, so yeah, I guess this is a collaborator of some sort. Maybe they are in the recording we're looking at today. First performed at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama by Ella Jarman Pinto and Yashani Parampanayagam. But in this video, it's Ella performing with Matthew on piano. The text was created by walking around the Tate Modern during this long weekend about Fluxus with many performances and events. I walked around the entire building for hours, writing down snippets of conversations onto postcards. I got home and pieced them together to make this text. The fast speaking was inspired by Samuel Beckett's Not I, amazingly performed by Billy Whitelaw, and I have employed this method in another recent piece, The Story of a Magnificent Banquet. This is the one we looked at in yesterday's episode, based on Marquis de Sade's 120 Days of Sodom, first performed by Neil Luck and Matthew Lee Knowles, harpsichord. So these two pieces, I guess, are companion pieces. It's interesting that the text is actually not Matthew's because he took it from people, just like overhearing them. It's kind of funny. I was field recording yesterday and in my neighborhood, and there were people like walking about talking, and I could hear much farther than I normally could because I was like, using a Zoom recorder cranked up. So I felt like I was kind of spying on them, and maybe that is the kind of vibe that this has. Although it also captures the energy of this Fluxus presentation at the Tate Modern. But so let's have a listen here. Pretty impressive that it's 2 minutes and she's gonna get through all this. Okay, yeah, I like this. The recording is a bit janky, but Ella's performance is phenomenal. I like how abruptly the video ends, and I tried following along with this page, but it was actually quite hard. Like, she is speaking that fast. I like the couple of moments where she chose to pause. The first one was at beep beep, all the way down here. So she read all of this in one go. Yeah, really, really impressive. Surprised that this has over 5,000 views. That's pretty sizable. I guess it was posted in 2008, so maybe YouTube was a different landscape back then. Yeah, I think that's a nice way to finish off the Matthew Lee Knowles section of this voice and piano series. Was not expecting it to be exactly the same formula as the one we looked at yesterday, but I think that's that's fine because the two performances and texts are very different. So tomorrow, I think we're looking at an Anna Lara piece, as far as I can remember. So yeah. Okay, so today's piece is by Anna Lara, and it's a series of pieces for baritone voice and piano. I have them labeled here as Epitafios. I think there might be more info on the SoundCloud recording. Okay, so I think the full title is Epitafios y otras muertes from 2005. It's a song cycle, I guess, 14 minutes. And the titles are Don Quixote for the first movement or the first song, De la Dulce Mi Enemiga for the second one, Epitafio for the third one, Dulcinea for the fourth, Sancho Panza for the fifth, and I think that's the last one. As always, I'm just gonna use Google Translate to butcher these poems. Here lies the valiant Hidalgo, who reached such extremes of bravery that it is clear that death did not triumph over his life with his death. He held the whole world in contempt. He was the boogeyman and the terror of the world in such a situation that his good fortune proved to die sane and live mad. Yeah, by the way, I think all the texts are from Don Quixote. The second text, I've never actually read Don Quixote. I think I should probably do that at some point. So, for my sweet enemy is born an evil that wounds the soul, and for all the torment wants to be felt and not spoken. Come, death so hidden that I don't feel you coming, so that the pleasure of dying doesn't give me life again. Okay, another text about death. The third text. Here lies Dulcinea, and though plump, death, dreadful and cruel, turned her to dust and ashes. She was of noble lineage and had the markings of a lady. She was the flame of the great Quixote and the glory of her village. Oddly, the titles are reversed here for movements 3 and 4, so that may be the text for movement 4 in this score. I guess I'll realize pretty quickly if they're reversed when I'm listening along. Fourth text. Here lies the knight, well beaten and ill-fated, whom Reconante carried, I'm assuming, along one path after another. Sancho Panza the fool lies beside him too, the most faithful squire who ever knew the trade of a squire. So all of these are death poems. Many of them read uh, like gravestones. This is Sancho Panza, small in stature, but great in valor. A strange miracle, the simplest and most honest squire the world ever knew. I swear and attest, he was almost a count, if not for the insolence and injustices of this stingy century, which doesn't even spare a donkey. Upon him he rode. Forgive the lie, this gentle squire, behind the gentle horse Reconante, and behind his master. O vain hopes of the people, how you pass by promising rest, and in the end you end up in shadow, in smoke, in sleep. So, this is more of an introduction to Sancho Panza, probably from the start of the story, I would imagine. And that's the last movement. So, I think it's the sonnet of Sancho Panza. So, all in all, a pretty interesting looking score. And that flipping of the two movements makes me think that maybe this isn't the final score. Um, but yeah, we'll see. No list of who's performing here. Um, I'll put a link to this SoundCloud in the video description if you want to listen along. It's actually a little bit under, so it's only 11 minutes on the SoundCloud. Okay. So yeah, these were pretty delightfully demented, and yeah, I think it really fit the whole atmosphere of the novel. Not that I have read it, but I do know that like the general gist of Don Quixote and the character. I've been recommended it before, but yeah. So just based on that, I think this definitely fits. It's kind of like uh, I guess it is technically tonal music, but it's so overly decorated that it enters the realm of something else, and yeah, it's just very decorative for no reason, and I like that. It's kind of like it has key signatures. It has kind of a baroque feel, but it's very formless. Like there's no sense of what the form is or what the rhythm should be. In that sense, it's very sophisticated. Like I don't know a lot of tonal composers who can write like this, and it's very informed by her more modernist stuff, I think. Um, yeah, it's kind of inspiring. Tomorrow we are looking at another song. I think it might be by Victor Rasgado. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's from the 1990s. Um, so we're leaving the 21st century tomorrow. Okay, so today's piece is Canción de Cuna by Victor Rasgado. It's a piece for mezzo-soprano and piano from 1998. And the text is by Federico Garcia Lorca, who I think is a Mexican poet who we've talked about on the channel before, because there's a homage to Federico Garcia Lorca by Sylvester of Vueltas, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so this poem is pretty short. Let me double check the poet, make sure that they are just a poet. Okay, they're also a playwright, I forgot, and theater director. Okay, they're more Spanish than Mexican, so which makes sense because they died in 1936. So 1898 to 1936. Yeah. So this score, like a lot of Rasgado's handwritten scores, is very beautiful. And yeah, just like perfectly executed. He uses straight edges to draw ties, which I really like. This one, they're particularly square looking. It looks like each line is numbered, so, and I think the pages might be a little bit out of order because this is labeled 1 and then this is 2, then 3, 4, 5. The piano's got 4 staves, so that's kind of interesting. I gotta type this text up to translate it because of the PDF. We can already see you sleep. Your boat is made of wood by the shore. White princess of never, sleep through the dark night. Body of earth and snow, sleep through the dawn. Sleep. Your boat is mist, a dream by the shore. You drift away asleep. So kind of a neutral text about dream-like spaces, I guess. It's a short little piece, about 3 minutes. And the title I forgot to mention translates to lullaby. Okay, so there is a video on YouTube. It's 6 minutes though, instead of 3. Oh, did I miss this? In Memoriam Lydia Rodriguez Hahn. Lydia Rodriguez Hahn died in 1998, the same year that this piece was composed. She was a Mexican scientist specializing in phytochemistry who made important contributions to the fields of steroid chemistry and organic synthesis, according to the development of synthetic methodologies. And she died quite young at 66. I guess her studies took her to the Faculty of Chemistry, UNAM, Imperial College London, and yeah, that's interesting. So maybe this is someone that Rasgado knew in life. When did Rasgado die? I remember it being also quite young. Okay, not that young, 2023. So I was wrong. He died 30 years later and was a bit younger than Lydia, fair bit younger. But yeah, I was right. He died in his 60s as well. Just born like 30 years later or so. Okay, so link in the video description as always. I encourage you to listen to this along with me, and we will reconvene. Okay, I hope you gave this lullaby a listen. It's definitely taken slower than it's marked, but I didn't mind the slower tempo. It's all very quiet and very evocative. I like the this sort of like very sparse texture where sometimes the voice is just singing on their own, sometimes there's just like a single drone in the piano, it's like a single note being held down, or a tiny like slow line in the piano with the singer. Um, it's sort of presented very like plainly, like the text is broken up into four parts, and it's very much like call and response. Um, and these like melting gestures in the piano are very hypnotic and sleep inducing, and I might I don't know how I would steal this because I'd have to like actually analyze it, but I like the idea, and I like the slurs. It's such a pretty score. Um, Tomorrow, let me check the list here. Tomorrow we're looking at De Profundis from 1992. That's a Frederic Rzewski piece. And yeah, that one I've kind of meant to do it in the piano series, but it actually fits this series a bit better. Um, so that'll be a fun one. Uh, yeah. Today's piece is De Profundis by Frederic Rzewski. It's a piece for speaking pianists, so technically it is for voice and piano. And historically, it's performed by Rzewski. He's famous as sort of this autodidact composer who also performed all of his own stuff, very skilled pianist. It's dedicated to Tony DeMare and Larry Brose in memory of Luke Theodore, written in 1992, and the text is adapted from Oscar Wilde. This is a pretty big piece. It was the first Rzewski piece I was ever exposed to when I discovered the score, and it's real cool. Like it's a real great little drama. Very inspiring if you want to do dramatic work for the concert hall. Here it is advised that the piano should wear a lapel mic, um, and there should be a mic right at the keyboard to pick up like percussive sounds on the instrument itself. And here's the score, right? So it's handwritten. It starts with this breathing in and out, stuff like that. Then you introduce some grunts, and I think you get to speaking eventually. You can see it's pretty extensive, and then there's like a big percussion moment here, but I won't spoil too much more. I've never looked into the dedicatees or where the text is from. I'll just assume that it's by Oscar Wilde. Okay, Tony DeMare is a pianist, it looks like. And Larry Brose is experimental filmmaker, photographer, and arts administrator. Both of these artists are active in New York, and I guess this piece was dedicated to them way back in 1992. I remember this piece being longer. I guess it's just half an hour. I'll link this version. I'm assuming it's performed by Rzewski, and oh shit, I just realized this is our first Rzewski episode, so why don't I talk about him? It might be our only Rzewski episode, honestly, because I don't have any other scores of his. Born in 1938 and died in 2021, shortly after the pandemic. Rzewski was an American composer and pianist, and widely considered to be one of the most important American composer-pianists of his time. From 1977 onward, he lived primarily in Belgium. His major compositions often incorporate social and political themes. Uh, Perhaps his most famous piece is his variations for piano called The People United Will Never Be Defeated. That's a very monumental work. I think I saw a so-so performance of it here in Winnipeg a couple of years ago, and yeah, it looks like he had a lot of early teachers who were also composers, such as Milton Babbitt, Walter Piston, Roger Sessions. He had a Fulbright in 1960, where he went to go work in Italy. There, he studied with Piccola. So I don't think he has. Yeah, he has a pretty like conservative traditional background. Like he studied at Phillips Academy, Harvard, Princeton. So I think it's kind of weird that he's sort of uh, presents himself to the public as this like self-taught composer. He clearly has worked with a lot of cutting-edge avant-garde composers of his time. I guess he just prefers to write for himself. There's quite a bit of content you can find online on Rzewski talking about his own music, talking about contemporary music himself. So I'll just leave that to you to find, and hopefully this piece is a good introduction to what he was all about. Um, I don't like other people have performed this one, but I do think that this one is does not translate well to other performers. Like Rzewski really does it the best version of it, you know. I can barely watch other versions, honestly. So that's what we're doing today. Okay, so hopefully you took the time to listen to this. I think it is one of the great like narrated piano pieces. Um, it's based, I realized, on this poem by Oscar Wilde called "The Ballad of Reading Gaol." I found this pretty easily. He wrote this in, I guess, 1904. It was published, but it's about Oscar Wilde's time in prison. So, yeah, where I guess it was in this prison, HM Prison, Reading. So Wilde had been incarcerated there after being convicted of gross indecency with other men in 1895, and notably, while he was in jail, a 30-year-old prisoner was executed by hanging. So he was there experiencing the sort of social impact of that in the jail itself. Um, and a lot of the poem is about that. So I think Rzewski has sort of tailored that text to suit this piece, and he talks more about like what it means to be an artist and sort of like the like very visceral experiences of being in jail. Seems more focused on that. Um, the I don't think he's setting the whole poem because it seems to be much longer um, than the text that's here. To be honest, maybe it was just like my mood today, but this didn't slap or hit nearly as hard as when I first discovered it. I think there was a novelty to it when I first discovered it. I do like the notation, and I do like that it has this like these like instrumental interludes that and like some stuff that's reminiscent of J.S. Bach. There's like this sort of weird pastiche going on in the first two-thirds of it. What struck me really powerfully was this section that's like near the end. It's like 20 minutes in, where you close the piano lid and you start doing all this percussive stuff. I thought, especially with the whispering, um, and this is harder to pull off in performance, but I think this is really a magical stretch of music where the performer starts like, you know, smacking themselves and uh, just sort of like it's just one thing after another, but it's very entertaining and yeah, it's like must be 3 minutes of music or so. Then you start barking and making other noises and stuff, and uh, yeah, it's also interesting that it's so close to the end. It's really far into the piece. Um, but very powerful. I also like this notation where he has just like 7 chords listed and you have to memorize them, and they're just labeled with letters. I think I tried to do this in a piece after hearing this, and my teacher didn't like it at all because I was making the performer memorize something. But I think because Rzewski performs this himself, the notation makes sense. And I think it's an interesting way to pace a section, to have like this sort of pitch reservoir almost, or chord reservoir that you're drawing from. Hopefully that gave you your Rzewski fix. Yeah, really cool performance and cool text. Tomorrow, I think, is the last piece in the voice and piano series, so I'll just leave it as a surprise. It's a physical score I have though, so it's much older than this. Um, but yeah, thank you for humoring me with this one. Okay, so today's score is Aaron Copland's Old American Songs, the first set. This is, I think, a piece for voice and orchestra, but we're looking at the piano arrangement because that's the score I have, and it's gonna top off our voice and piano series. So here's what the Boozy and Hawks score looks like. Found this in a free bin that belonged to someone, I guess, in February of 1993. And in my spreadsheet, I think I have its composition date is 1952. That may be off, but I'll just put it on the screen here. So this set, there's 5 songs. The Boatman's Dance, The Dodger, Long Time Ago, Simple Gifts, that's the famous one, and then I Bought Me a Cat. So the other 4 I have never heard before, I don't know anything about them. Okay, so all of these are American songs, I guess, which are then set by Copland. So their dates vary. The Boatman's Dance was first published in Boston in 1843. The Dodger, at some point in the 1880s, was, I guess, learned. And then A Long Time Ago, first issued in 1837, Simple Gifts, a shaker tune from 1847 at the latest. And then there's no date on I Bought Me a Cat. It's an old children's nonsense song, so I'm assuming that's still even older than the other ones. And yeah, this is the score. So this one's a minstrel song, it looks like. Okay, so this copyright 1950, this version of the score, so had to have been composed even earlier than that. Campaign Song is the subtitle for The Dodger, and then Ballad is the subtitle for A Long Time Ago. Interestingly, these are arrangements. I wasn't expecting that. So very little composition going on. Of course, Shaker Song here, and then the last one, Children's Song. So I'm just gonna listen to these on my laptop, and I highly encourage you to click on the link in the video description, or links. There may be multiple. Not sure if this is for high voice. It must be either tenor or soprano. And then maybe I'll say something about the voice and piano series. I know this is an odd one to end it on because there's a huge gap. Also, if it interests you, there's all these Aaron Copland pieces by Boozy and Hawks. And I'm assuming all of this is older than No, it's not older than 1950, so this is a newer publication. But you'll see a lot of orchestra. Anyways, let's get into it. So yeah, my thoughts. I thought the ballad would be my favorite, but actually, I Bought Me a Cat is too good. It's so charming, and that's definitely my favorite of the five. I like the harmonies that Copland uses to set each of the animal sounds and wife sound, I guess. Yeah, really funny use of chordal harmony and stuff. Really good example if you want to like get your students interested in like Copland's harmony, and yeah, I thought it was like really charming set. I didn't realize, so I was reading the wiki, and this was a voice and piano piece first. So this is like the original version, and I think the orchestra version is a lot more popular. Because I struggled to find recordings of this, to be honest, and yeah, I also read that it was premiered at the Aldeburgh Festival in 1950 or 52 by Peter Pears and Benjamin Britten. So that actually added a whole other layer of charm to the piece, and I can almost imagine the context that it was performed in, and yeah, it's just a very interesting little piece of contemporary music history, so I'm glad I covered it. I really feel good about this voice and piano series. It was short, but every piece had a fascinating text, and it's a little bit lopsided on Matthew Lee Knowles' stuff, but I enjoyed every piece, so yeah, I'm excited to move on to the next thing.